Hey guys, how's it going? I'm laughing at myself because I sat here before hitting record for about 30 seconds looking at those open drawers back there and thinking like I should hide those or I should get up and shut them to look better for you guys. Cuz why would you want to hear me talk about life and stuff when I can't even close my damn drawers? But I decided to leave them open because that's fucking real life. And that's me running late for class and rooting around for supplies that I needed to work on my procrastinated homework that was due today. So there you go. That's real life. And this is real life. And welcome. So, as promised, I wanted to share a couple things with you. First of all, I wanted to share a new podcast that I'm obsessed with. And it was really a treat to find it because I have talked about this woman, Brooke Castillo, on here before. She has a podcast called The Life Coach School, and I love her stuff, and I totally dig her teachings, and a lot of what I am on here talking about is influenced by her. And then I randomly found this podcast called Unfuck Your Brain on Spotify, but you can Google it and access it through this person's website. Unfuck Your Brain is a podcast by Kara Lowenthal or Kara Lowenthal. Sorry, Kara. And I recognized almost immediately, like in the first episode I ever heard of that she is a student of Brooke Castillo's. So that was a fun connection for me. Like, ooh. And her stuff has a more feminist focus, and I just like her tone, and she swears a little more, which is my jam. Not specifically like, hey, let's say swear words for the sake of it, but, I dropped the F-bomb here. What the fuck am I talking about? Oh, there it is. There's an authentic one. Sorry. I just got back from school. And I have a lot of emotions happening, which I can talk about another time, but I promised in the last video. So first of all, Unfuck Your Brain is the podcast that I'm listening to the most right now. It's life coaching stuff, and I love it. It's Kara Lowenthal, and if you Google it or find it online, I think it's UNFCK. She says we spell it polite, so Unfuck Your Brain. And then I specifically referenced episode number 83, which talked about a tool called the Thought Ladder. So if you were into that, and if you want to hear more how she does it and describes it in more detail, go check out that podcast, which you should do anyways, because it's really good. And specifically episode number 83. Okay, the other thing I promised to share with you was this whole cease all againstness thing. And how I just really fucking tired myself out with the whole being prickly and always being angry with someone and always being annoyed and rubbed the wrong way by the world. And I just felt like it was just so easy for me to be shook up. And I feel like that's one of the main things that I've been focusing on over the past few years of my recovery is identifying like, oh my God, a superpower like would be to just be centered right here, no matter what is going on in the world around me. Like I got it intellectually that if I'm out in the world riding the bus or in a crowd or wherever there's other fucking humans, I recognize that if I'm getting upset by what other people are doing all the time, that is just me like, here's my power, you're in charge of my power. That's called, that's like conditional existence, right? And it's no way to live. And I finally just got to this point where I recognized that there was one person everywhere I went that fucking got my goat, got my gander, got stuck in my craw, whatever you want to call it. And I was just riled up about it. And I'm tired of getting so riled. And so, I have days where this is easier than others. I have days where I can practice compassion with folks, or I'm just not as ruffled. I feel more centered. And then there's some days where it's just like everybody's on my fucking nerves. I've been having those the last couple days. Actually, I don't know if you all can relate to this, but do you ever have those days where it feels like a freak show? Just everywhere you look, it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you wearing? Why are you acting like that? What's coming out of your mouth? What is on your face? Like, it just feels abrasive and hostile and uncomfortable. And it's just like, oh, these people, I can't connect. I realize that's my thinking. And for whatever reason, some days it's easier for me to control my thoughts. Not control, but just like have better thoughts about the world at large. But I've been exploring lots of different tools for how to exist in the world in a more peaceful way. And one of the things I finally realized was just making the decision to just let that shit go. Now, I'm not suddenly enlightened and perfect and at peace with everyone. In fact, far from it. I feel like sometimes when I make a decision to do something a different way, it's like I'm almost challenged double the amount, because it's like the universe is like, oh yeah, cool, you want to work on that, here's a bunch of stuff to practice with. Like, I don't believe the universe tests us or like is hostile towards us or just randomly gives us shit to fucking deal with. But I do think that if we're looking to strengthen something, say, or we're looking to achieve a big goal, we get the opportunity to craft or to cultivate the character we might need, and that presents itself as challenges or obstacles. And it's through navigating that shit that we become the person we need to be to get what we want to get, right? So if I say, hey, I'm ready to let this stuff go and I'm ready to just like coexist in the world and get along with people and not have someone that can just ruin my day, quote unquote. So yeah, it's felt like because I made that decision, all of a sudden everybody's on my nerves because I get to practice because I decided that's what I want to do more. So what does this mean, right? Like, it's one thing to intellectually understand, like, we're all in this together. You all know I'm open about being in recovery with drugs and alcohol, and I work a 12-step program. And so there comes a point where I was doing my inventory, and some people that showed up on my inventory were just people, like the people blowing their nose in the middle of a talk or fucking being gross on the bus. And my sponsor was like, yeah, you're a people too. Like, those are, you're one of them. And so it's just like remembering that and accepting that and having compassion for that. And I've also noticed that when I'm feeling really aggro and prickly and hostile in the world, there's usually something going on with me about how I'm feeling down on myself. And that's really shown itself these last few days when I'm feeling extra hostile and bothered in the world. It's because I have a ton of vulnerability coming up because of this new semester of school and these challenges that I have that, these goals that I'm setting that are really big, scary goals, which is great, but it brings up the vulnerability and it brings up the fear. And so maybe that's like a defensive mechanism or coping strategy. I'm feeling shitty about myself, and so I'm just going to put it all out in the world. Like, all y'all are acting like fucking idiots right now, so I can feel better about myself. But guess what? It doesn't really feel better. I just feel shitty inside, and then I feel shitty out in the world, and it's exhausting. So I hope this is making some kind of sense, but what kind of shifted for me, like moving it from an intellectual understanding, like we're all the same fundamentally, we're all humans just trying to make it in the world. Well, I've made the decision that it's my thoughts creating my feeling. Okay, that's just truth. Often we think it's someone out there causing my feelings. Like, well, if that person was acting in a better way, then I could feel better. It seems that way sometimes, but if you start to really do this work, you see that no, our thoughts always create our feelings about a thing. And so I've tried the method of being out in the world and just trying to intentionally think good thoughts about folks. And that's not always very easy. But what I can do, which feels like an intermediate kind of step to feeling genuine goodwill about others, is to recognize that I'm being against and I'm being aggressive and hostile and judgy. And I can just drop that. Like, I don't have to be super friendly. I don't have to like everybody. I don't have to get along with everyone. But can I recognize when I'm getting really fucking judgy and aggressive and aggro and just kind of drop that? Like, I don't have to be this way. So there's two examples I wanted to share that were kind of, just feels like I'm letting these like metal doors on my heart just sort of peek open a little bit. Just try to, what would it be like to just let it open a crack and just try not to like slam it shut whenever I'm bothered by someone. And so one example is, I mentioned there's a girl in my class that I made this decision that I didn't like her and she bothers me, and I was like dreading being in class with her. And I recognized that every time I saw her, I was thinking a negative, judgy thought and believing these thoughts that I was having about her being annoying and I don't like her. And my brain was spinning this story about her that I was taking to be as a fact. And it's not a fact. And I recognize that I don't even know this person, and whatever perceived slights that she had done to me were just really mostly in my head. And so I saw her the other day, and I made an effort to talk to her and get to know her. And I asked her how her summer was. And there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to talk to this bitch. And there was another part of me that was like, just try it. And that's that, like, letting my door of my heart stay open just a little bit to let some more light in and to just see what would happen if I could drop my judgments and drop my hostility and just see. And you know what? It was better. And I feel like I am ready to be in classes with her to try again, because it's just me creating this whole situation with us, right? Like, she's going to do what the fuck she's going to do, and she's going to be the way she's going to be. And I don't know what kind of situations informed her or what she's going through or what her story is. So how can I make an effort to just like not have it be so abrasive and not have it rock my serenity every time I have to be in a room with her. So that first step of just like being open to get to know her a little better and to be friendly towards her has really helped a lot. And then the other thing was I found myself on the bus heading home, the bus going from Boulder to Denver, and it was a Friday night and it was full of people wearing sports shit. Like they, you could tell I'm not a sports person, and I have a lot of fucking judgments that I've cultivated from years of being a punk rock teenager and on, having that be my identity and my ego thing. Like I'm anti-jock, right? Like these jocks, I have all these experiences about these meatheads, and I have all these judgments about how they're ignorant and they're just like frat party bros, and the girls are skanky and the da 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 da, like all these judgments, right? But today I can recognize what's happening in my brain. And this bus was just full of these people that I was just like so ready to start judging. You know, they're all in the same kind of outfit. They've been drinking. They're acting like idiots, in my opinion. And I'm just like, fuck, I have to be in this packed bus, like standing room only of these party bros trying to go to the sports ball game. I just can't relate or value it or anything. Or so I was telling myself. And I was just like seething before we even got on the bus. I'm like, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. And I was having these visions of just like getting in this fight with this girl that was sitting next to me. Like if she even touches me or breathes on me, we're going to just like go at it. You know, it was so funny like watching my brain think up these scenarios that were just years of me having this identity of being like anti-jock or whatever, you know? So again, I practiced letting that door on my heart just crack open just a little bit. Like what if I just dropped all these judgments, right? And this girl next to me tried to talk to me, and I was just like, holy shit. And at first I was really annoyed. And then I let that door stay open just a crack, and we started talking. And it ended up being this really sweet experience where this young girl and I were kind of just chit-chatting, and she had just moved here a couple weeks ago, and I was asking her about her classes, and I felt this like almost big sister vibe come over me where all of a sudden I did care about her and her experience and wanted her to be safe and wanted her to be happy. And I admired her that she was like, you know, it's just something to do. It's what everyone's doing. I thought it'd be a good way to make friends. I'm like, oh, that's really sweet and brave. And, you know, is it really cool of me to be like, well, I'm anti, like I've cultivated this identity that I'm punk rock and I don't like football people, you know, like that's bullshit. It's way more radical to stay open and get to know all kinds of people. And we ended up playing rock, paper, scissors and like laughing. And it was really tender. And I was really grateful that I let myself have that experience to just be a little kinder. And, you know, we could have sat on that bus. I could have left my headphones in. I could have been a bitch. I could have been just indifferent and ignored her or whatever. And maybe that's okay too. Like, I'm not saying go out in the world and just try to be friends with everyone. But for me, recognizing that I'm just sick of how my brain wants to judge and attack everything and just practicing letting that go. I have been greatly rewarded with just a few, like, it only just takes a small effort on my part to see like, oh, this is a way better way. And like I said, I'm not perfect at this. I still get cranky. Today I was on the bus and someone's arm touched my arm and I was like, fuck that. So this is a work in progress. Okay. But I'd love to hear if you have any experiences like this, or if I'm just the asshole and this is like really embarrassing because everyone else is already really nice to each other and I just can't get it. But hopefully this helps. Sorry, this is long. But thanks for being here, and I really appreciate you. Thanks for subscribing and being part of this, and I will see you next time. Take care.